So you've got a number of competitors in your business, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what trends are you seeing in your industry? Where do you think this kind of business was 10 years ago? Where do you think it is now? And where do you think it's going and shifting?
Well, pets in general, so not even just direct customers to me or pet competitors to me, pets in general is a booming industry. It always has been, but since COVID or starting around COVID times, like it has exploded. So people didn't go have babies during COVID, which is interesting because before in those types of things, wars, things like that, people have babies. Nope, they had dogs.
Mhm.
So there's the dogs and a lot of like doodles, especially doodles are like a massive thing on the market, and people don't understand they actually have to be groomed. It's a health thing. So that
Right.
in itself is growing. But I think one of the biggest things I have noticed, and one of the things I love about my brand is the humanization of pets. So how they're treated, what they eat, things like that. So for us, it's a pet spa day, right? They come in the room, they're not taken in the back room and scrubbed down and nobody can see what's happening and then they're not going home all stressed. I have videos. These dogs are happy as little clams to come into my stores, right? Super excited. They're going to get pampered and get facials and stuff like that. And then the humanization of the products, the food, it's now human grade, right? That's important. CBD products for anxiety. Dogs get stressed too, or have health problems or have pains and they can't communicate, right? So I would say those are the biggest. I'm sure there's many more, but I would say those are the biggest things I pay attention to.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's more than 10 years ago, but the bakery side of the business certainly wasn't a thing many years ago. It was far and few between.
Yeah, it's interesting. We literally have like birthday cupcakes, like actual cupcakes, they're dog. I wouldn't want to eat one. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't want to. I don't like the flavors,
Right.
but cupcakes and cakes and like donuts and that wasn't a thing you couldn't find them back then.
Do you anticipate any other trends that the pet business is going into that where it is today? Do you see anything different happening tomorrow in the next 5, 10 years? Where do you see it going?
I think it's going to progress more towards the humanization. I think that's going to be big. I think France. So France is very well known, like Paris specifically, is very well known for you'll see lots of dogs at restaurants everywhere. You'll see dogs everywhere. They're better behaved than children. They don't take their children out, they take their dogs. People probably going towards that way. And if it comes to products and things like that, everything will kind of like sprout off of that. So whether it's humanization products and better ability to get the human grade products and the collars, even the collars, everything, right? It all more tech based. So I think it's all going to kind of flow in that direction.
It bodes well for your company and the industry in general. I think I saw something on your site. It was like 63.4 million households have at least one
hmm
dog.
Usually more.
Okay, let's talk about the expansion of Salty Dog and how do you decide and evaluate which markets you want to get into for expansion? Because we say everybody's got dogs, and the amount of households that have them, but there has to be something other than population that probably excites you and your team about what markets you want to get into.
Yeah, so we have a great our real estate vendor who also does our mapping and stuff like that, has all this amazing data. I love it so much. So I actually look at markets that are already very dog friendly, right? So dog
Okay,
friendly, and I don't mean ranch dogs. Ranch dogs are amazing and sometimes they're our clients, but I mean dog friendly, like it's part of the family unit. They're literally thought of as another family member. That's where we're looking at. And those are often places where people are more health conscious or into fitness, health conscious, health and wellness type, ideas and things like that. Where the locations actually go are in centers where you would find maybe a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods or something like that, where that customer is the same. Our customers we share that same person because the person going there, they want products and food items that are, human grade and non-grain and all the things, right? So that's the same person.
so if somebody that is psychodemographically speaking, a very high quality product. They have to have a lot of confidence in a product or a
Yeah, a
service.
little bit more higher end. And it tends to be a younger group. It tends to be more the millennial and Gen Zs, or not Gen
Hmm.
Zs, Gen X. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of the expansion of the business, One of the things that the statistic that I talk about this stat often on the podcast, and I'm curious to get your feedback since you've been in the industry for a bit, is why so many franchisors struggle with getting to that, that magical 100 unit mark. And of course, we know it has nothing to do with the number of units we sell. It has everything to do with being royalty self-sufficient. But what are your thoughts on why so many franchisors stall out? I mean, you were a franchise supplier for years too, so you dealt with a lot of brands. Why do you think so many of these emerging founders they don't get there and they hit a wall?
Yeah, gosh, that's a lot. I got a lot of information on that. So I've worked with thousands of brands and seen a lot, right? I think one of the biggest issues is when they first come in as a franchisor, it's lack of a few things. Resources, whether it's money, capital, or human capital, which is really important, and then just knowledge in general, right? So they come in, they franchise, okay, yay, this is how we're going to leverage other people's money to become a franchise, and open more locations. That's great. What they don't understand is now they have two businesses. They've got their consumer side of the business and they've got the franchise, and they don't know anything about what it takes to be a franchise. They got to learn all that. They might not find a good advisor or something like that, right? They may be undercapitalized. Most of them are undercapitalized. Then they tend to, because they're undercapitalized, they tend to sign up anybody and everybody right away because they need money. They need money coming in to keep things going. When you do that and you don't vet out your franchise partner and make sure they're the right fit, especially for an emerging brand, you need entrepreneurs to work with an emerging brand. If you're a bigger brand, it's a different kind of person, right? So if they get the wrong person, they don't have their systems, their processes, all of those things set up, they don't have their base set up, then it just starts to crumble, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they kind of have 1 foot in franchising and 1 foot out. And if they're still focused on the consumer side, it's very easy for them to give up and say, well, this didn't turn out the way I wanted it, because like you said, it is two separate businesses. And one of the things I've tried to share repeatedly with people that are even interested in franchising is to tell them that whatever business you were in, you're no longer in that business. You are now in the franchise business, and you have one job, and that is to make your franchisees successful and certainly want them to be happy and fulfilled.
100%. And, they didn't realize also that, it's going to, the first 5 years are going to be a lot. You need to prepare for that, whether it's time-wise or financially or whatever. It's going to be a lot. It takes a lot to build a franchise system. It's going to be amazingly rewarding too. But the first 5 years, if you can mentally set yourself up for it, it's better. But most people don't know that. They have no idea. So how can they mentally prepare?
I'm glad you said that. I don't think anybody's on the show, if anybody I've interviewed, has actually come out and said the first 5 years and how challenging it is. And you're absolutely right. The first 5 years for me at I-9 was very challenging, and it took a toll on me. And I think when I got towards the fifth year, we had already gotten to 100 locations, but still we had not really turned the corner yet. The problem is that when you get to that fourth year, you don't know when you're going to get to, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You just look back in the rearview mirror and you're like, I've been doing this and struggling for 4 years. When is it going to get better? Little do you know, or little do any of us know, because we don't obviously know the future, is that the success and that tipping point is literally right around the corner. And if you're doing all the right things and your franchisees will start getting that critical mass of business, then you'll be royalty self-sufficient. You'll have your systems and processes better be already intact. Otherwise, you've gotten exposed already and have been in trouble. But it's a different game once you get through that 5 years, if you can just stick with it.
And that's why having the right people with you on that ride too is important, right? At the franchise level, the right franchise partners, but also the right employees, right? I need people that are passionate. It's really hard to find people that think like business owners when they're not. Almost impossible. I would say 1% of people are, or maybe I'm being too pessimistic, might be 10%, I'm not sure, but it's a small percentage, and you need that passion and people that will drive it forward.
Yeah. And most of us that franchise, we have taken our staff with us from our original company, and they don't have franchise experience either.
Yeah.
So now collectively, we're a big group of people who don't know a thing about franchising.
Yep, that's a problem. You got to get people with some knowledge in there.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.